Hi there, I'm Dr. David Wallace, and welcome to another episode of Conquer Stage Fright. So we are walking to my office in Juilliard's Music Theory and Analysis Department, formerly known as the Literature and Materials of Music Department. And so here's where I do a lot of work. So today's episode is based on a question that was posted in the comments section of Conquer Your Stage Fright, Episode 1. This comes from Acer and Estefan, the cello rock stars. How do you tackle a situation where you're being judged in a competition, like music festivals and NYSSMA? So I imagine a lot of you are saying, what the heck is NYSSMA? NYSSMA, N-Y-S-S-M-A, is New York State School Music Association. And as is the case in many states and other countries, there are opportunities that NYSSMA puts on where students will play solo for a judge, or perhaps an ensemble may play a piece of chamber music, which is then evaluated. People get comments, and maybe they get a medal if they play really well or some particular special designation. Some of my friends, young students in London, have this as well. Growing up in Texas, we had something called UIL, which stands for University Interscholastic League. And even my school district had its own form of solo and ensemble competition. Ballet has similar kinds of exams, but there's other situations in life, like taking a driver's test, where you are being evaluated against your own merits rather than someone else's. So let's imagine for a second that we're at NYSSMA. We're at a NYSSMA competition, and we go to a room like this. We walk into a room that's about the size of someone's living room, and we walk over to our music stand and we adjust it, and in the corner there's a desk, and there's a judge looking very serious and sitting with a pad of paper and a pen and a pencil. They're writing things down about us, and every now and then they frown. They may greet us, they may say something at the end, or they may just sit there silently. Pretty weird, huh? And some of us actually live to do that on the weekend once or twice a school year, so that we can go play for someone, get feedback about what they think of our playing, and if it's good enough, we get a good rating, and we maybe get a ribbon or a medal or a trophy, and if we're really, really good, then maybe we get the Outstanding Soloist of the Day award for that particular judge. I have to tell you a very funny side story. Allegedly, Morton Feldman, who was a contemporary composer, used to judge at NYSSMA, and he never liked anybody and gave very few people medals. I don't know if that's a true story, but someone had mentioned that there was some place out in Long Island where he would judge, and at some point I think they said, okay, let's not have this guy again. Again, that's just hearsay, or maybe you could even call it a rumor. But I happen to really like that story. I try to imagine what would I be like as, say, a freshman in high school walking in and playing a Handel sonata out of tune and not so well for one of the eminent contemporary composers who writes how bad a player I am. It's something that's fun to fantasize about, right? So let me get back to your question. What do you do in this situation? Well, let me clarify something. This is a non-competitive audition. It's not a situation where you're competing for one job against lots of other people, or it's not even like a chair test in an orchestra where you and your peers are trying to see who can be a higher chair than someone else. This is you versus you, and that sets up a different kind of mindset. Psychologically, though, you're in a difficult position because you're walking into a room with an expert you don't know, knowing full and well that this expert is expected as part of their job to write down what you're doing well, to evaluate you on many different categories. And by the way, if you are doing one of these things, try to find out in advance what you'll be evaluated on, and that will help you prepare. And this expert will also be deciding whether or not you get a prize, and usually there's a whole scale of rankings, usually from a category of 1 to 5, and you'll find out if you're in one of the top 2 categories or the third, or if you're actually one of the miserable people who wind up in the bottom 2, which can happen if there's a really tough judge. So my advice is you need to turn this situation around. So you're not looking at this as a chance for you to be dissected or put under a microscope to reveal every flaw, because that's going to put you in a nervous place. What you need to do is look at this as a great opportunity, because you've got an expert, and hopefully there will be a chance to converse, and there may not be, but if there is, that's even better. And the expert will be giving you feedback on how you can be better and what you did well. Because we sometimes are so self-critical that we don't even know what we're doing well. And so look at it positively. Go in there thinking, okay, I'm going to get some feedback that's going to help me in the long run. Don't make it about the medal and whether or not you get a medal. The other thing I would say is your mental attitude can totally change the situation. If you walk into that room thinking, rather than, oh no, what's this guy or this lady going to think of me, you think about yourself and you think, you know what? What's going to happen in that room for the next 10 or 15 minutes is all about me, and I'm going to be the person in control. For the next 10 or 15 minutes, I'm in control of everything that happens in that room. And you know what? You quiet, frowning judge in the corner, you are lucky, because I'm going to play some really good music for you. Hey, you like Bach? Well, wait till you hear my Bach. So if you start from that attitude of, I'm bringing something into this room and I'm bringing something to share. Here's a very wonderful story. I wish I knew the musician behind this, but I remember once seeing a wonderful concerto played on viola d'amore with the Orchestra of St. Luke's. And my teacher, Karen Richer, who I studied with for my master's, told me that this violist had a very interesting concept about stage fright. When asked if she ever got stage fright or if she ever got nervous, she said, well, no, that would be selfish. Think about that. That would be selfish. And if you think about why people are nervous, a lot of times it has to do with how they're going to be perceived, what other people think about them, because it's about they want to feel good about themselves. We want to feel good about ourselves. We want our ego to feel in good shape. And if we're really being nervous, we can actually wind up being really self-centered. So change your mindset. When you're in a situation where you're not competing, but it's your chance to perform or your chance to share, enter that situation with a mindset of sharing and as an opportunity to give something to other people. And I'd like to close this episode with a final thought about what it's like from the perspective of the guy behind the desk writing comments on the yellow legal pad or whatever form it is that they have. I can tell you from experience, if I'm sitting in this chair for hours and hours and hours listening to people who are so nervous about every 10 or 15 minutes and another one and expecting to evaluate and decide what's worthy of praise and what's worthy of correction or criticism, in this chair, in this position, I am dying for someone to come in and make my day just by being warm and smiling and delivering a beautiful, inspired, energetic, passionate musical performance. So think about that. The next time you're in this situation, you could be the person who walks in this room and makes the judge's morning or afternoon or even week. So think about it that way. And yes, concentrate on the feedback you get that may be negative. That's a benefit to you, and it will make you better for the next time. Now, I want to apply this to everyday life. I have one subscriber who's written me about being nervous about taking a driver's test, and I know that feeling too. I was very nervous for my driver's test when it came, and the first couple times it didn't really go so well because I was too nervous to do my best. So here's my message for you. That driver's test is your opportunity to make the day of the person judging you. Look at yourself as their personal chauffeur, giving them a wonderful tour of the parking lot and the surrounds of the area where you're being tested. Because believe me, they spend much of their day in a tiny little space with an extremely nervous, freaked out person who probably doesn't drive them around so well. And if you're the person who shows them a lovely ride through the neighborhood and skilled maneuvers, you're going to make their day. So try to change your mindset as to how can you make your exam less about yourself and more about providing something of benefit to the person judging you. Now, I realize I've only scratched the surface of Brianna and Estefan's question, so next episode I'm going to look at competitive auditions and give you a few tips for conquering your stage fright in that area. Psst, don't forget to subscribe so that you catch the next episode, and please share your strategies for conquering stage fright in non-competitive situations in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. David Wallace, and this has been another episode of Conquer Stage Fright.